Great evening. Happy full moon. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone's been having an amazing weeks, holiday. I feel like it's been a while since I've been live, and I actually wanted to go live earlier. I really want this phone to be higher than what it is. I was gonna go live earlier, but I was like, happy Capricorn full moon. I was like, do I feel like it? And I just kept hearing, do it. So here I am. And, y'all, I had to use my favorite tripod for something else. So I'm like makeshifting. There we go. Makeshifting, getting the phone to a level where I like it. All right. So, welcome. Y'all know that, well, I'll say for those who are regulars, you know that this is a Q&A. And so you can Q and I might A, but if I'm talking, then I'm just going to talk, and then I'll get to questions, but put them in the question box. I love it when you all interact with me as well. So just talk, just say something or whatnot. But boundaries, ego, and guilt. These are things that I have had so much experience working through, and they've come to the surface today to be talked about. As I just said, like I said, I've been feeling like I've been wanting to go live for a couple of days actually, but I guess whatever it was needed to come up, and of course it always has to be the right place, right time, right people logged on. So I always assume that whatever topic we're covering is what everyone needs. So questions in the question box. You can put the questions in the scrolly as well, but just know I might miss it. But also know that I might not check the question box. Just know that this goes to wherever my fingers go. And that's just wherever my eyes and my fingers go. We just do this. Okay. Boundaries. So let's start there. I have had a tussle with boundaries, just in my experience. I didn't understand what a boundary was for a very long time. I had no boundaries, and so people who don't have boundaries won't understand what a boundary truly is. Because if you don't have them, you don't set them, you don't respect them. So that's how that goes. So I work with a lot of people who speak on the boundaries of their partners, boundaries over friendships, yes, friendship breakups, all of that good stuff, even within their families. But the thing is, you cannot expect someone who has no boundaries to respect your boundaries. I saw something the other day that asked, whose responsibility is it in the relationship to work certain things out? I don't know a better term other than work certain things out. Or I'm going to say to work certain things out. I feel like there's a better term, but that's the one we're going to use today. And the answer was whoever consciousness is higher in the relationship. It's their responsibility to work certain things out. And now I know somebody in here like it ain't my responsibility, because why can't they? I just wish they would, but they don't know how to, so they're not going to. They don't know how to, so they aren't going to. So you have one of two choices. Either you can work at the relationship, or you can release the relationship. Now the thing is, y'all find a third choice. People be finding the third choice up in there. What's the third choice? Be discontent, be mad, be angry. Create storylines that sit in the middle of you either agreeing to consciously work at it or release it. So with that being said, with taking that into Boundaries. A lot of time, right? Number three, option number three is what most people are out here choosing. And it's like, you can be doing so much more with your mental power. There's so much more that you could be doing with your mind when you make a choice. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about boundaries, but I'm gonna go where I'm being led. The post I posted a while ago on overthinking, when I said choose something, that went over a lot of people's heads because they're like, well, what if I trust myself and I don't trust them? What if they're the problem in the relationship? What if da 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 da? I said pause and choose something. So this means you don't have to give all of this extra thought to what choice you're going to make. Are you going to choose to work at this or be silent? Because that's also a choice. You can choose to relax about it. That's also a choice. Or, I mean, we're always choosing. So when you are not choosing to relax about it, to work at it, to put a bit more consciousness into it, to be patient with it, to give it some time, to pray about it, then you're choosing to obsess over it and you're choosing to let it wreak havoc in your mind. And now you think in circles around something. So you can either choose to relax, breathe, give it time, give it space, give it grace, give it prayer, or you can choose to let it run a marathon around your mind. And now you got issues, and the issues keep running around. Someone asked, how do I get it to stop? How do I get it to stop running around my mind? Stillness and meditation. That is the answer. Meditation and stillness. Or meditation and stillness, or go choose to do something else. Something I was talking to one of my clients about was that with the way the human mind works, it's very difficult for us to just stop doing something or to stop thinking something. It's difficult because we need to replace that with something first. So it's like, this is where people might be trying to transition from a meat eater's diet to a plant-based diet, and their mind needs a meat replacement. Instead of being able to just straight up and go eat fruit and vegetables, some people can, but instead of being able to fully transition into a plant-based diet, people's minds are so accustomed to one thing. So you need a meat replacement. You need a placeholder for that thing you used to do until you start to do something new. And then you start to be able to transition into a more whole foods diet. This is the same with our thoughts. This is the same with our thinking patterns. Until you are able to train your brain, same with training your body, same with shifting your diet, until you are able to train your brain to not do the thing, you need to replace the thing with some other thing. And, the downside of that is a lot of people replace the thing with an unhealthy thing. A lot of people replace the thing with drinking and smoking and maybe sexing or scrolling on social media for hours and hours and hours at night. A lot of people choose, and this is not knowing what else to do, right? A lot of people choose to dissociate when they're trying to replace the thoughts instead of release, or instead of giving it a healthy outlet. Somebody said, what about habits? It's the same. So how people have bad habits with smoking. People who are trying to make a smoking habit, they need to give their mouth something else to do. Because this is the thing, it's an oral fixation. They need to give their mouth something else to do. So typically they'll chew on something, and then I was about to say this ain't a replacement. I just like my tea. I was about to say, I do this instead of drinking wine. Back in my college days, I was drinking a bottle of wine a day. A bottle of wine a day. Now that was long gone. I have not had alcohol, nor do I crave alcohol. But if a person were trying to break their wine drinking habit, then they could just get a wine glass and put something else in the glass, right? And that tells your mind, I'm holding the glass. You are mimicking the activity. This is the same with people. You're trying to break the habit of smoking marijuana. You can roll you up some Damiana, some Blue Lotus, some other herbs. Now, granted, will you be high? No, but sometimes it's the act of smoking. Would it be the same with feeling your feelings instead of dissociation? Yes. Yes, because what most people do when they're trying to replace a thought or replace a thing or replace a person is they're doing something to dissociate from the pain or dissociate from the feeling. So they numb instead of nurture. So that's the difference. Choosing to numb or choosing to nurture when you are working to replace thoughts, replace habits, and things of that nature. But like I said, people don't know how. People don't know how to nurture because what we have been taught is to numb. So that's where the work is. The work is learning what nurtures me. What nurtures me instead of numbs me. What allows me to actually fulfill myself instead of stuffing the thing down and acting like it's not there. So that's that. Now, y'all, I feel like I went way out from boundaries. I don't know what somebody said that got me where I'm at, but boundaries. Boundaries. So, okay, we're talking about boundaries in relationships and talking about it's the person with the most, who has the most consciousness. It's their responsibility to, when I say responsibility, I do not mean shouldering burdens, because this is also where you learn to set boundaries. This is where you learn for yourself, what am I okay with and what am I not okay with? What am I willing to work on? What am I willing to work on? Where is the line? Or when do I need to release this? That's where the boundary is. And 10 times out of 10, you know it's time to release it when you start to betray yourself. That's just on period. Whenever the relationship is causing you to betray yourself, it's time to release it. It's not that's that hard boundary. That's the hard stop. If you aren't at the point where you're betraying yourself, and what is it like when you betray yourself? I mean, that is going to be contingent on what your core values are. And so with that being said, it's important for you to know and understand or write down, what are my core values? What do I value in a relationship? And what keeps me feeling grounded in who I am without losing myself? So, that line of betrayal it's up to you. But with that being said, I wanted to talk on boundaries from, I am not saving this life. I am saving no more lives. All of the lives are going in my learning community. So if you want to see the lives, you gotta subscribe. If you want to see the lives, you gotta subscribe. But or you just stay here for 2 hours. And then you've seen it, and that's that. But I wanted to speak on boundaries from the place of energetic violations. So physical violations are real, right? And often, I'm gonna speak on energetic. I'm gonna speak on energetic, and then y'all fill in the physical with those of y'all who have had issues with physical violation of boundaries, because that's still an energetic violation. Link in bio for the learning community. Yes. Now, energetic violations. When it comes to, how do I want to say this? So it's an understanding that energy precedes matter. So when although we are in this material world and we out here thinking that we material girls and guys, men, women, people, humans, energy precedes matter. So before something can be physical, it manifests in the energetic, and then the physical matter is made up off of the information that is encoded in the energy. So I'm gonna speak on boundaries, but I'm gonna start here because knowledge and information, girly. I gotta give y'all the whole thing. So let's take our physical body into account. The physical body, the makeup of the physical body, so the genetic makeup, everything that you look like, and the composition of your physical body is made up off of your energetic field. We've got maybe about 10 to 12 known auric layers that people have been able to like twiddle their fingers in and gather information from. There are probably more, but this is just based off of what I know. 10 to 12 auric layers. Each of those auric layers, when I say an auric layer, I mean an energetic field that surrounds our body. So we can think about the aura as the egg and the body as the chicken. So when we say what came first, the chicken or the egg, energy precedes matter. So the aura is the egg, the body is the chicken. So your aura is there, right? Your aura has all of the information about this body, your ancestry, the history of your soul, all of your lives, all of that information. The aura also, there's one auric field called the etheric template that has the information. How do I want to say this? The etheric template holds your ideal form. So if you was like totally healthy, totally just the totally healed version of you in mind, body, spirit, all of it. All of that is encoded into the etheric template. So when we say that we're already healed and the information is already there, like it's already there, the healing is already present, it's in the etheric template, so it's real. So you got all of this information in your auric field from different spaces of existence, atomic, elemental, all of those. I don't feel like going through all of them. That information comes in, and then it's like I said, the auric field is the egg, your body is the chicken. The chicken bakes inside of the egg. So based off of what is in the egg, here now, your body has formed. So with that being said, everything that happens in the energetic affects the physical. So whatever's happening in your auric field and in the energetic, this is what's making your body do what it do, especially as it pertains to illness. This is what's making your body do what it do. Now, when we talk about boundaries, the highest type of violation that you can make is an energetic violation. One that affects someone's energetic field because essentially you are affecting their biological makeup. So these are the highest level of boundaries, energetic violations. So when people be casting spells on other people and things of that nature, you really playing with it. You playing with it. For real, for real. I wouldn't play with it. But not with ill intention, because you are committing the utmost of violation. You are crossing the utmost of boundary. Even trying to peer into someone's energy. I know that some of y'all be pulling them cards and asking about other people's lives and trying to peep into what they got going on. If I was you, I'd stop doing it. Because that where do you think the information is coming from? It's coming from somewhere. So you're pulling the energy down from somewhere. So, that was just a warning. If I was y'all, I'd stop playing with that. But now, boundaries. When we violate someone energetically, what does an energetic violation look like? What is an energetic? What do I mean by energetic boundaries? So these is fucking boundaries, period. But I'm just using the term energetic so we can understand the extent of what happens when we violate someone's space. So this is like This is like showing up to the party uninvited. When I think about this in that way, showing up to the party uninvited, this is where you, one, trying to fix people's lives that ain't got nothing to do with yours. And I know that often it's in well-intentioned, right? People ask me very often, how do I get a family member to How do I get somebody? How do I get somebody to listen to that? You're asking, how do I manipulate someone into XYZ? And even if it's changing for their better, you don't know exactly what this person is supposed to be doing. You have no idea what's happening in their energetic field and what they're supposed to be doing. So when you have it in your mind, which also understand that doing that and knowing that it's from a good place, but if you are someone who is trying to fix other people, you have an issue with your own boundaries. You need to learn some boundaries, and really the boundaries need to be within yourself and with your own ego. Because what is it about you? What is it about you that thinks that you know what's best for them? Has anyone ever asked themselves that question? Why do I think I know what's best for someone else? What is it about me that makes me think that they need to be how I think they should be? Why do I know so well? And also, why do I want this? Not why do I care, because we care for people, right? And so, like I said, this comes from a place. It can come from a place of well-intention, but it's an understanding that when we look at people that way, it's self-serving. You're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. And that's where the violation is. That's where the energetic violation is, because you're doing this for yourself. Because why is it that you can't be okay with somebody else on their journey? Because we're all on a journey. And then let's take this even one step deeper. When people start to learn about spirituality and they start to read the books and they start to take in the information, and they ain't done not one bit of integration, but now you talking to everybody that will listen to you, everyone around you, about what you've learned, and you haven't done no fucking work yourself. But you're sitting here overstepping a boundary. You're entering someone's energetic field and saying, hey, you change. You change. Like, whoa. Like I said, you're coming to the party uninvited. Y'all know what irritates me? And I had to learn to stop. Like, I had to be like, ma'am, relax. I understand that everyone is on their journey, and I understand what it's like to be at that phase of the journey. I'm going to answer that question about family. I understand what it's like to be at that phase of the journey where you're gathering all of this information and you don't know what it means to integrate just yet. You don't know yet. So you start to look at everything around you and say, this should change. My external world should change, and the people around me should change based on this new information that I've learned. Because I've learned this new thing, and I now see from a different perspective that something is wrong with the world around me. And so this is what people do. When they first get on their journey, first, you're woke. This is what I call wokeness. Wokeness, to me, is when you're taking in the knowledge and the information, but you have not done any work. So your eyes are open a little bit, but you're still looking at everything through the lens of your ego because you have not taken any of it internal. So you're projecting all of the stuff that's inside that needs to be fixed about you. You start to infringe on other people's boundaries. You start to send them. So when I say what gets on my nerves is when people DM me, and it's all, y'all, it's always a certain type of man, because it be them woke niggas. It's always a certain type of man DM me, sister, did you know that back in the 15th century, that the Africans, did you know? Sir, I did not invite you here. So this is what I'm saying with boundaries. Boundaries. You were not invited to the party. I didn't ask you. Do y'all know how offensive unsolicited advice feels? Like, so when I say like energetic violation, when you're offering someone something that they asked for, it's like I'm saying, here's some food. You're not hungry, but eat it. This is what happens when we try to fix people and give them things they did not ask for. Energetic violation. Violation of boundaries. You're not hungry, but I'm going to make you eat. And so someone said, how does this apply to family? It's the same. Your family is no different. These are humans who are on their path. You are not here to fix your family. You are not here to be a martyr for nobody. Martyrdom, it was not signed on your birth certificate. And martyrdom is self-serving. Nobody gives a fuck about a martyr except the martyr. Nobody's going to congratulate you for being a martyr on your deathbed. But you're going to die resenting everybody around you because of your own martyrdom. So you're not here to fix nobody. This doesn't mean that you cannot support where support is needed. But also, this is where people take it a little bit too far, because you don't have any boundaries with your family. So it's time to support, and you don't have the capacity to support. You don't have it in you because you haven't created enough space inside of you. What if the family is doing it to you? Create some space. Put some distance between you and the family. If they're not ready, y'all, let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. And this might not be, who gives a fuck if you sound rude? If you set the boundary and it sounds rude, that means rudeness is what was in you. That means anger is what is in you. Rude to who? If someone thinks you're rude for setting a boundary, that's their problem. That's their problem. You have to learn through experience how to vocalize things. And sometimes, y'all got me bouncing around from point to point with the way these questions coming in, because I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? Like, what's wrong? What's going on? But let me say this. Let me say this, and then I'm gonna try and come back around. I'm gonna try and come back around to where I was. When you have suppressed certain emotions, when you have suppressed certain emotions, when you have shadows that are in your closet, when you open that closet for the first time, when you start to that door need a little WD-40. It's going to creak open, but that shadow is going to be hostile when it comes out, because recognize that the shadow parts of you are parts that you have not been nurturing. They have not been fed. They have not been given food nor water for a real long time, and they've been sitting in the dark. Imagine if you were sitting in the dark for years. If you were the embodiment of a piece of someone's core personality, and you were sitting in the dark for years, when they open the door, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You're gonna run out. You're gonna run because, oh, finally, there's some light. You're gonna spill over. You're gonna be like a can of busted biscuits. So when I say, when you are learning how to communicate the stuff that you have been suppressing, it's not going to be pretty. But this is through practice. Y'all got to be okay with being uncomfortable, with uncomfortable conversations, with it not feeling good for you, with it not being perfect. But you said it how you said it because you needed to say it. And if you need to go back and apologize later, then cool. But that doesn't mean that you intentionally approach people in a certain way. If you can take a moment and quell your anger before you have that conversation, then please do. But if it comes out that way, understand that you are learning. And next time you do it differently. You do your best. You do your very best to communicate every time. And the more you communicate, the more graceful you will learn to communicate. But like I said, that shadow is busting out the closet. It ain't coming out with grace. It ain't coming out with grace. You can practice it in your head all day. But when you are face to face with something that has been the catalyst for your suppression, it's going to be very difficult for it to come out in a graceful way. So you got to just do your best. That's it. That's it. Okay. Y'all, where was I with boundaries? All right. So, okay, if the family is doing it to you and there's no reconciliation, what can you do? Look. I know that y'all, a lot of people don't want to believe that prayer works. And that you want maybe you desire a very complicated or less simplified answer to your circumstance. But prayer works. You got to learn how to let go. You got to learn how to let go, let God, and pray for people. If there is no reconciliation, what can you do? What are your options? You can pray about it. Like I said, you have a few options when it comes to your relationships. Y'all choose option number 3. You can work at it. You can release it. You've been working at it and it ain't working. If you're working at it and it's not working, what do you do? Release it and pray about it. When I say release it, add and pray. Always add and pray. Let's just make that a given. When I say release something, add prayer on the end of that. You even pray for the people who you know you don't want back in your life. Pray for them folks. Pray for them. Release them and pray for them. And pray for yourself as well. Pray for peace. Pray for peace of mind and the ability to let go and to trust. Prayer works wonders. I feel like I can change my whole platform to just pray about it. Every post is going to say pray about it. Because really, you need to just be doing that anyway. Just do, if it ain't working, look, when I tell y'all that I cannot count, I don't have a count of how many things I worry about nowadays. I've done that part. I've done the worrying. I've done the ruminating. If I find that I'm thinking about something for too long, I'd be like, ooh, no, I'm about to go sit at the altar, because this is what we're not about to do. Because you're not about to disturb my peace. And I am not about to let my own thoughts. Now, boundaries with self. Energetically violating yourself. I am not about to let my own thoughts violate my peace. So I wanted to get into that with the ego and boundaries. How does one begin to pray? Well, you decide who you want to pray to. Or I say who, I mean, you can pray to the Divine Mother. You can pray to the Heavenly Father. You can pray to Holy Spirit. You can pray to your angels. You can just say, hey, whoever is up there who's protecting me and who's listening to me right now, here I am. And you start with gratitude. Start with gratitude. It's like some people only pray when they want something, or when they're in a jam. Imagine if somebody only called you when they had problems. Imagine if somebody only called you when they wanted something from you. Y'all will be on here asking me how you deal with that. How do you deal with somebody who only calls you when they want something? What you do? Stop picking up the phone. So you start with gratitude and then get into your asks. And you always you always end with gratitude, start with gratitude, and you even pray when you don't want anything. Because this is just like calling somebody just to talk and see what they're doing. Hey, Divine Mother. Girl, what you got going on? I'm just checking on you. I love you. All right, girl. Talk to you soon. For me, I'm like, let me not chew and talk. But, yes. So, it doesn't have to be a whole Pentecostal. Y'all, what is the I don't even know how to say it. Pentecostal. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It don't have to be those type of prayers. You just say thank you. Yes, and you just talk to the energy around you. You can go and speak to the trees. Say thank you to the grass, to Mother Nature. Nothing intricate and elaborate. Okay. The ego and boundaries. Setting boundaries with your own ego. We talked about the energetically violating others. I know I know people talk a lot about someone crossing your boundaries, but I found it very important today to talk about you crossing other people's boundaries. Because if somebody is crossing your boundaries, you have an issue with your own boundaries. That's just on period. So, understandable, things be thinking, but also we got to get off the victim train, because it's like, well, what am I doing? And of course, you deal with the way you deal with other people, but we going within today. We within today. So, setting boundaries with your own ego. What do I mean by that? So one, like I said, with the thinking that you need to fix everybody, we're going to take that one step deeper into even the criticisms that stay in your mind. It is an energetic violation. No one's saying to be perfect. I'm saying stop. Try your best to start to catch when you're talking about people in your head and talking about other people's lives. This, like, when I say that if there is something that has, like, one of the first things to go for me on my spiritual journey was gossip. When I say that gossip will not leave the gates of my lips, because it is an energetic violation to send the energy of judgment and criticism to another person. You are literally like sending a dagger. Literally. This is why I don't play around with the energies of jealousy and envy. I don't play around with it, because you are sending daggers into that person's energetic field, and you're muddying up your own as well. So you're crossing a boundary. Now, this is where you get your ego in check, because ego, what is it about you that makes you think that you have a right to say something about what somebody else is doing? Come on back home and let's address this here. Let's now take this into judging and criticizing what somebody else is doing when you ain't even got that. So this is like walking into somebody's house and having something to say about their home when you don't even have one. This is like having something to say about somebody's car when you're walking. This is wild. It's absolutely wild. So, and I know, I feel like this is very elementary, but I also just feel like it need to be said, because as you are on the spiritual path, as you start to live your life in more integrity, when you know better, you do better. It's different when you don't know. And I'm telling you now so you know. It's different when you don't know. You don't want the retribution. You don't want the retribution of those types of energetic violations. I promise that you don't. And I promise you that some of the off the wall stuff that be happening, like y'all getting into random car accidents and just odd things that you would call negative. You'd be like, oh, what happened? What happened? Like just the weird little stuff that be happening in your day. So much of that so much of that lessens as you start to be more intentional about what leaves your lips and to walk and to live in more integrity. Like I said, one of the worst the worst violations are energetic and sending daggers of judgment and criticism to somebody else. Ego, check the ego, please. Check it, please, because the moment I find myself thinking something negative about somebody, I'd be like, girl, what the hell wrong with you? I'm like, what's your problem? Because projecting. Because you can only send what you have. This is like you can only give what you have. Like if you don't have space to hold, or if you don't have compassion, then you can't give compassion. Now that goes the same to say, if you got judgment in here, then you got it to give. So when you're giving it, that means you got it. So it's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Okay, and then thing number 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know why. I don't know what we're on. I don't know what number we're on here. But also checking the part of your ego that feels like it needs to be seen. Now, this goes into when I say checking the ego, period. When I say check, I don't mean check in an authoritative way, because that's the problem in the first place. The problem is the way that you're talking to yourself in the first place. This means something in you needs to be nurtured. If you're judging and criticizing someone else, you need nurture. If you're talking to yourself a certain way, you need nurture. If you feel like if you're attention seeking and you need to be seen and you need to be heard, so you gotta be the loudest one in the room, you need nurture. That baby needs some milk. You might need to go and suckle back on mama's teeth. And so this is where you need to call in the love of the Divine Mother. You need some love. There's love missing. So when I say check your ego, what I mean is, where is the love missing? So speaking on needing to be seen and be heard, I know that a lot of us have been imbued with spiritual gifts. A lot of us are awakening to our spiritual gift because this is the age that we're in right now. The gifts are gifting. They coming through real strong. Now, what happens? What happens when that gift starts to develop, but you have not developed your relationship with your ego? What happens? The ego comes up into your gift, into the sharing of your gift. And now you need to be seen and to be heard. You need people to know that you got a gift and that I'm feeling the energy and that I'm an empath. I need you to know. So, 1, you offer unsolicited healing. You start to offer unsolicited healing. No, I'm not saving the life. I should put like a thing. I'm not saving any more lives. They go inside of my learning community. They go inside my learning community. If you want to join, it's in the link in my bio. But yes, okay. You start to offer unsolicited healing because there's a part of you that feels gratified by the fact that you have a gift and you're using it. Because you need somebody to see you, you need somebody to recognize you, and you feel gratified by doing. And you are masking you offering this unsolicited healing by saying that you're doing this for somebody else When in actuality, this is self-serving because you're getting off on the fact that you help someone heal. When in reality, the Divine Mother, Holy Spirit, and Father God are the only people that can heal anybody, only entities that can heal anybody. And you are a vessel for the divine light to come through you. You are not doing anything but being here and walking in your light. Okay? But the ego says, I'm the one that did it. The ego says, that's my gift. I'm doing it. Look at what I did. Look at what I can do. Hey, I'm an empath. I can help you. Hey, I'm feeling everything that you're feeling. Let me tell you. Y'all know something that I had to stop? That I had to stop because of my ego? I had to stop telling people when I dreamed about them. I just stopped. Unless I felt called. And now that's the difference. You start to listen for when you feel called. And I can't tell y'all what it's like for someone else to feel called. So y'all don't ask me how, because I don't know. That's between you and your guidance system. All I know is now I know what it feels like when I feel called, because I have done it when I wasn't called in enough times to have been energetically and spiritually reprimanded. And now I know when to speak and when not to speak. So this is you. It might be trial and error, but it's an understanding. You don't offer no unsolicited healing. This is self-serving, and that means your ego needs some nurturing. Because why do you need to be a fucking martyr? Why do you need to be a martyr today? And give up your energy when everybody can do their own work? Do you ask for consent or permission to share only if asked? I don't go where I'm not called. Now, if I feel a strong calling, then I will ask, can I share? And then, but I just don't go where I don't feel called. My guidance system, and they probably be sick of me, they got to tell me 5 times to say something before I say it. Because I just need to make sure. I need to make sure. Because sometimes it be some uncomfortable stuff. And sometimes it be like, walk up to that person. And I'll be like, you sure? So I do, if I feel called to say something, I'll still ask permission. There have been plenty of times where I've said something and it wasn't received. And in the beginning, my ego was bruised. Because it was like, how dare you? How dare you not listen to what I had to say? When I just received this divine knowledge. This divine download about you and your life. How dare you not listen to what I've had to say? And, I just had to let that go because it's none of my fucking business. It's none of my business. And my life is so much more easeful if I have less healing work to do. Because I got my own work to do. And so this is where the ego will have you so focused on trying to hold space for other people that you act like you ain't got your own work to do. Everybody always has work to do. And if your ego tell you you ain't got no work to do, honey, you really need to sit. You need to sit and have a conversation, because everybody has work to do. This stuff goes deep. There are layers and layers and layers to peel back. So if ever you think that you ain't got no work to do, you are sadly mistaken. So let's take this one step further, because hold on. Okay, never mind, not today. All right. So be mindful. Be mindful of where you are, because it's a double cross of boundaries, right? You are crossing the other person's boundary. You are also holding very loose boundaries of your own, because the more you offer unsolicited healing, the more people see, oh, you're an open space. And so I can now come to you, like I talked about, just like somebody calling you and they only call you when they want something. Some of y'all, and I've seen people post about this, some of y'all be mad when the people in your circle only look at you as the healer friend. That's because you keep showing up as the healer friend. I'm pretty sure you did it first. They don't know. They don't know what gifts you working with. They don't know what you're able to do. I'm pretty sure that you presented yourself in that way first, and that perhaps you did not set a proper boundary, and so now they think it's okay. So now they come to you when they need a healer friend. So this is where you just stop. This is where you dial back. You tell people you don't have space. I don't have a surefire way to discover you know what, actually, I do have a course on cultivating your intuition. I'm about to tell a lie. I do have a course on understanding and cultivating your intuition. All of the questions about that have been answered there. Link in my bio. Link in the bio. Them being bothered is their issue. If you're bothered, whatever feelings you are feeling, those are your feelings. What if people are bothered? But so, okay, I'm not even going to read this whole question. You know what? Yes, I'll read the whole question. What if people are bothered by you coming into awareness of your journey of expression? Don't you set a personal protective boundary? Sure you can. But this sounds like you need to get over people pleasing. You cannot make everybody happy. You will never make everybody happy. So you need to set a protective boundary, but you need to set a boundary within yourself, because you can't keep up shields. You cannot walk around your whole life having up a shield in fear of what someone else will say about you. This means you need to become internally strong and do your own work around the part of you that has issue with being authentic and that has issue with what other people think. So this is like walking around, spending your life walking around in fear. Spiritual protection. Shield. Like, I mean, spiritual protection, yes. Spiritual protection is real. Spiritual protection is necessary. You take protective measures because we take preventative measures. I love it when spiritual protection gets to the point where it's preventative. You are not afraid, but you understand this is just like taking care of your body. Spiritual hygiene, personal hygiene. You're not afraid of getting sick, but you understand that there are certain hygienic measures that you have to take in order to keep yourself healthy. You don't only wash when you sick. You don't only clean when you sick. So, and this is like, as you start to cultivate a more healthy diet, you don't only eat healthy when you sick. So it's like, but the more healthy you eat, the more whole foods you get into your body, then now you've built up a natural protection because you have strengthened your insides. So this is the same with dealing with other people. The more work you do on yourself, the more you focus on yourself. You can't, we can only focus on one thing at a time. It's a fact. Although I know 50,000 thoughts be running around people's minds. I mean, y'all, I got a lot of thoughts in mine too. So although a lot of thoughts run around in your mind, you actually only can think one thing at a time. This is why it's in such a great practice to sit and just watch your breath. As you sit and watch your breath, it helps you to focus on something other than thinking. And then the thoughts just start to go by. So as it pertains to being concerned with what other people think and trying to protect yourself and trying to do your work, you cannot do all of these things at the same time. How can you do the work? I've got so many courses on my learning platform about doing the work and unraveling all of these things. Link in the bio. Link in the bio. Meditation can be a part of doing the work. Doing the work means dealing with your past. Healing your past is doing the work. What does that look like? It looks different for every person. But learning platform, link in bio. Y'all, this is my commercial for today. This is my commercial. So, yes, you can't focus on strengthening yourself and trying to protect yourself at the same time. We don't look at one thing. So you do the internal work. You work on the things within you that are able to be disturbed. It's nobody else's disturbance. If something is happening in your body, it's yours. It's yours. So you work on your own disturbance, and then you take preventative measures. Okay. All right. Yes, you can be 18 and come to ceremony. We just had an 18-year-old at ceremony on Friday night. Absolutely. All right. So, boundaries, ego, guilt. Guilt. You that's asking a lot of questions. You need a journal owner. You need a journal platform. You can ask so many questions in there and get like good answers. Real good answers. All right, guilt. So, guilt is a demon. Guilt is a demon. For real, for real. Guilt is our own way of punishing ourselves and putting ourselves through mental turmoil, which turns into physical turmoil because energetically, whenever someone is holding guilt, when I feel it, it feels like daggers. It feels like pins and needles just stabbing the body. And so, what do we do? What do we do with it? What do we do with it? People feel guilty. The root of guilt is that you believe that something about you is unlovable. And so, because you believe that something about you is unlovable, it goes deeper than you've done something wrong. Shame, guilt and shame in the same bucket. Shame, I've done something wrong. Guilt, I've done something wrong. The same, and I feel a type of way. But at the core of it, it's you believe that whatever this aspect of you is, it's unlovable. And so now you spend time not loving it. And now you send unloving energy into it. So honestly, y'all, I ain't even got much to say about guilt other than that. You resolve guilt when you continue to send loving energy to that part of yourself. When you continue to tell yourself, I have done my best. And if you don't believe that you've done your best, you say, I will try again. I'll try to do better. The only thing that cuts at guilt is compassion. Love and compassion. I don't know what else. I wish I had more deeper words about guilt, but it is truly very simple. And when I say that guilt is a demon, I say that as it becomes very intrusive, very invasive in the psyche. And so at times, even when you try to cut it with love and compassion, if you're carrying guilt strong enough, then it tries to overpower the love and compassion that you're sending it. And now this is where you might want to employ maybe some ritualistic practices to help release the energy. When it's like that, like think about the guilt. Think about the guilt as sitting on your energetic field. What about when someone uses guilt toward you? You don't have to accept what someone is giving. You don't have to receive the package. If you receive the package, now that's your problem. Someone trying to guilt trip you into something is their problem. This is like, hey, take this guilt. Have it. And you're like, sure. I'm mad at you for giving me that package, but I'm going to take it. You don't have to receive it. And it's hard when you're a person anyway. But at the end of the day, you do not have to. It's people and people. Married or not, people and people. People and people. Even with a spouse, I am pretty sure that you can walk away and say, no, thank you. You can say, no, thank you. The issue, you don't know what the issue is with a lot of the questions that are being asked tonight. I don't have issues with the questions that are being asked. Y'all are asking really good questions, and I appreciate y'all for being here and for being open enough to ask your questions to receive the answers that you need. Let me tell you what the underlying issue is. The underlying issue is that, I'm saying you, I'm not talking to anyone in specific, I'm just going to use you, is that you have not decided to be responsible for your life. You have not decided to be intentional about your life. When you are not responsible for your life and you are not intentional about your life, you take what anyone is giving you. You don't have any boundaries. This is why I say people don't understand how far the boundaries need to extend. You need energetic boundaries. This is more than physical boundaries. This is more than, I don't like when you do this. This is my energetic field. And I will not let anything and I am the gatekeeper of my energetic field. And nothing that I don't approve of can stay here because I said so. Because this is my boundary. So when you are not intentional about your life, then you come and you ask, what about what someone else thinks? What about what someone is doing to me? What about what you're allowing? That's why I said this conversation today is not about what nobody is doing to you. This is about responsibility and what you're allowing. And this isn't to say that people don't do things to you. But I can surmise that 95% of people that are watching right now are adults. And so at this point in time, even if somebody said they're 18, even at this point in your life, you have a choice now. You are no longer under the rule of your parents, who are the start of all of your issues. There is not one person whose parents are not the root of their issues. So what happens is you spend your life partnering and welcoming in your parents' energies. And so you continue to be with people who are like your parents and who energetically, maybe not physically, and maybe sometimes also physically, but who energetically violate you and disrespect you the same way that your parents did. So the issue is you still have a childlike state of mind, and you are still spiritually a child because you walk around with the mentality that you cannot do anything about it. You feel powerless to do anything about your situation and the people that are in your life. And so you make excuses like, well, it's easier said than done. And I understand. I get it. That sometimes it's not easy. It's never easy. I say sometimes, never. It's never easy. But it's simple. It might not be easy, but it's simple. When you decide to take responsibility for your life and be intentional about your own life, then there are certain things that no matter who is doing it, because when you start to look at your life from a spiritual place, not from the physical, where everything is temporary. Everything is temporary, period. But as I said, energy precedes matter. That means that when this body is gone, when your body is gone, your spirit lives on, because the spirit is that which has always been and that which always will be. So the things that you are doing in this life, this is the issue. This is the issue with people not taking responsibility for their life. For some reason, no one has told you that when this life is done, everything that you have done in this life, you have imprinted it onto your spirit and you carry it on. It doesn't just fall away. You keep it, it's still here. It's still here. The body is temporary. The spirit is eternal. And so someone hasn't told y'all that your life is not about what you physically, it's not about the physical. Your life is not about physical. Your life is about the energies that you allow, the energies that you employ. That is what will dictate the quality of your life. And when you're on your deathbed, you're going to be looking back at the energies. The energy. So I say that as to say, what will fuck you up every time, what will fuck you up every time is thinking that you need to hold on to something physical. Every time. Thinking that you need to hold on to this physical shit. And that does not mean that you just throw it all away. Because we are here in a body. And when you decide to be in a body, you might think you didn't decide, but yes, you did. If you didn't decide, you wouldn't be in the body. No one's making anybody do anything. On every level, we can go from, unless you are a child, we're going to come all the way up into the cosmos. Nobody's making anybody do anything. So the fact that you are here in this body is because on some level your soul wanted to be. So you're here and you're doing the thing. And there are certain responsibilities that come with being in the physical. That means that you're responsible for your life. That means that you stop letting somebody else be responsible for your life because you're responsible for your life. And you are the only person that has to live your life, spouse or not. I'm not talking to that person that talked about a spouse, but I'm just saying, spouse or not, you are the one that has to live your life. When you're on your deathbed, it's you and you. When you sleep, it's you and you. Nobody spends as much time with you as you do. So it's real wild to me. It's real wild to me to let somebody else tell you what to do. Tell you how to live, what to think, what to feel, what's okay, what's not okay, what to say no to. The fuck? Real wild when you gotta be with you. Who are you living for? Whose life are you living? You, like I said, y'all are not children anymore. And it's so important that people recognize that. So important. You are not a child. And so, as I talked about earlier, checking your ego, you got to nurture your inner child. Because if you don't nurture your inner child, you will live your life from a wounded place. Everything that you do, if your inner child is not nurtured, fed, and brought back to health, everything that you do will be run by the child. And you will live your entire life from a wounded place and from the child that's making choices based off of what their parents did or did not give them, what they did or did not receive. This is when I say it starts to run wild and you need some boundaries with yourself. It starts to turn into your inner child is running wild because that baby needs some milk and you need to go tend to that baby so we can stop crying and throwing tantrums and ruining your relationships and having you plunge into scarcity to where you feel like you can't even provide for yourself because a child in you says, I can't do it. I need help. And you might need some help. Everybody needs help. But the child in you literally thinks that you can't take care of yourself. And so now you get yourself into situations where you're relying on people. And now you got a whole nother parent. You grown. But your man is your parent. Or your woman is your parent. And now you're going to call them a narcissist. And say that they're manipulating you. When you're a child. When you're a child. And you got yourself into this situation because you didn't take responsibility for your life. And because now you going with the flow. You going with the flow. Instead of being intentional. People tell you what to take and you take it. Because you can't make choices for yourself because you have not nurtured your inner child. But now it's everybody else's fault. Like I said, now the person was a narcissist. And I'm not saying that people don't have personality disorders because some people do. But some of y'all be using that word a little bit too much. When the issue is you are a child and you are not intentional about your choices. So you chose somebody who mirrored your wounds. And now you got yourself in this situation. The last man that tried to tell me what to do, he threw a tantrum when I didn't. I'm going to leave it at that. People who do not have boundaries will cross yours. When you do not have boundaries, you will attract people who do not have boundaries. Y'all be calling these people narcissists, but you're codependent. Opposite ends of the same spectrum. Neither of these personality type, y'all don't even want to call it personality type. I just feel like y'all be using these words too much. But neither of these personality types have proper boundaries. And so all you're doing All you're doing is dating yourself. All you're doing is dating yourself. Ain't nobody got boundaries, and now everybody resents the other person. I don't know about avoidant and things of that nature. Personally, someone said, what are your thoughts about a fearful avoidant and how not to trigger them? I don't know. Because I'm not walking on eggshells. Because if you know that you're dating somebody like that, I mean, like, what? It could be a family member. I don't know. But if you know that someone is like that, then I'm not walking around trying not to trigger nobody. Your triggers is your triggers. And this does not mean that you don't operate in intention. This doesn't mean that I'm not trying to operate in care, but I'm also not walking on eggshells. Not walking on eggshells. Crazy life to live. Crazy, because if I can't just be myself, if me just being myself is triggering to you, one of us needs to exit this equation. Something about this doesn't go together. So, no. Your walk should not, not even say your walk shouldn't be triggering. With the people, someone said, I feel that my walk should not be triggering. Your people are your people. Your people are your people. This also doesn't mean that just because someone is triggered, that they're not your people. I have really good friends who trigger the fuck out of me. But I know that's my trigger. And so I love them enough to understand that I was triggered for a reason. And I'm going to deal with the fact that I was triggered. Now, will I say something about it? Sometimes, but I'm going to finish processing my trigger first. I didn't do that in the past. I had to learn. At first, I was just reactive. I was like, I'm triggered. You did it. But then I realized that this person ain't going nowhere. That I don't want them to go anywhere. And that I need to learn how to take a minute and breathe and see what I'm seeing about myself when you do that thing. Because you doing that thing ain't got nothing to do with me. And you doing that thing isn't even something that makes me feel unsafe. It's not even crossing my boundary. I'm just triggered because it's my own shit. So I'm going to deal with that. It's different than when it's crossing a boundary. Being triggered and crossing a boundary are two different things. You can absolutely be compassionate about different perspectives. Like I said, ain't nobody a martyr up in here. You can love, y'all know you can love people and let them go. Feeling like you have to keep people is possession. It's possessive. So feeling like I can't let nobody leave my life is possessive. That's not love. That's ego attachment. That's ego attachment. Love says, be free. It's safe with me, but also be free. I love you enough to send you on your way because this isn't healthy. And I love you enough to just let it go. November 8th, plant medicine ceremonies, we administer psilocybin. I am drinking hibiscus, ginkgo, and lily of the valley. Yeah, in this life, you don't own anything. Someone say you don't own anyone and no one owns you. So regardless of marriage, the same compassion that you have for other people, they should have the same for you. They should have the same. Not necessarily. Everyone does not. There's no what someone should do, because everyone's in different spaces of their journey. So it's hard to say what someone should do. Everyone doesn't know compassion. And so when it's this is where you decide. This is where you decide what you're going to work with. Everyone does not know compassion. So to say everyone should, everybody ain't there. You might have someone in your life that you love who does not show the same compassion toward you. And like I said, you got two choices. Either you're going to work on it or you're going to release it. But y'all be choosing number 3, which is make it an issue and find problems with it. Either you're going to work on it, which means we talked about whose responsibility is it in the relationship. The person with the higher consciousness. The person whose consciousness is higher. So if you choose to work on it, you understand I am taking responsibility for this in a way. That don't mean, like I said, like we're coming right back to the beginning. That does not mean you force feed people. That doesn't mean you give someone what they're not asking for. Because if someone is not asking, then you have violated energetically. But you decide you want to work on it. How do you work on it? Because all you can do is work on you. All you can do is work on your side. You can't do nothing but work on your side. So you work on the part of you that has issue accepting people who are not as compassionate as you are. So you work on your compassion. Still. Because, people be talking about low vibrational, high vibrational. I don't even, whatever. I was about to say I don't like something, but in truth, I don't even have a fucking judgment about it. It just is what it is. It is what it is. People gonna say what they say. People gonna call something, but at the end of the day, truly having compassion is being able to see where someone is and say, okay. Acceptance and tolerance are two different things. Just because I accept something doesn't mean that I am tolerant of it. I can accept something and decide I'm not going to tolerate it. Me accepting it says it doesn't bother me. And it's okay that it's like that. I can be okay with the fact that it's like that, and I have no desire to change it. I have accepted it. But do I have to tolerate it? No. Do I have to allow it into my energetic space just because I said, okay, that's all right the way that it is? No. And so you do the same thing with people in your life. I guess people, you set your own rules about what someone should do in your life. You accept about what someone should do in your life. Our shoulds are ours. We don't have any universal shoulds. Our shoulds are ours. God doesn't even tell us that we should anything. The higher power, Divine Mother, the Most High, doesn't tell us you should love me. We have our own will in deciding whether or not we will surrender to the divine. The divine doesn't say we should. The divine asks, will you? Will you? I'm inviting you. I'm here. I'm here. Whenever you're ready, I'm here. And so when we talk about being God-like, people's egos get into it, and they might think about being deified or being all powerful or omnipotent and things of that nature. And even being Christ-like. My take on that is in becoming an invitation. Working on yourself to where you start to become an invitation, and not an invitation for people to come into your space, but an invitation for people to heal themselves and for people to work on themselves. So instead of instead of swiping around the internet. Okay, my bad. Phone call came in. Am I back? Am I back? Okay. I think I'm back. I think I'm back. So instead of swiping around the internet saying, this is what you should do, this is what you should say, this is what people should do, you become an invitation. And by your presence, and so I say the internet, but your family, your friends, your loved ones, whoever, you become an invitation that says, will you? Will you? And even as you're setting boundaries and you're having conversations about these boundaries and you are speaking about your non-negotiables, as honestly, these things really, and when I say should, I mean you should communicate them. Should. You have the opportunity to communicate these things, right? As we're interacting with other people, I think that people kind of get in a tizzy because they look at what someone should do instead of asking them what they will do. What are you willing to do? Telling me what I should do versus asking me what I'm willing to do gets two different results. If you ask me what I'm willing to do, I can probably give you an honest answer. And then that cuts out a lot of that middle. It cuts out a lot of the confusion inside of your relationships and inside of the interactions, because now it's clear communication. Not this is what I need you to do. Because like I said, now we're crossing energetic boundaries right now. Telling me what I need to do, telling someone what they need to do for you. You're crossing an energetic boundary because you're not giving the person the opportunity to tell you what's real. Are you willing to show up for me in this way is the question. Are you willing to love me in this way? Are you willing to honor this boundary? Versus this is what you should do. No, that's not what I should do. That's what you want me to do. There's a difference. So, yeah, I don't even know what question I was answering. Oh, somebody said something about should. But yeah, so big difference. As y'all are, some of the questions that came in about how to interact with the people, ask them what they're willing to do. Ask them if they're willing. But this requires you to be vulnerable as well, right? To ask someone, are they willing to honor your boundary? Okay. Where are we at? Words on overcoming betrayal. Say one thing to my face. Support my abuser behind my back. Overcoming betrayal. Everyone's on their own journey. So it's important that for you that you start to make these things less personal. And I know that it is indeed easier said than done. It is indeed easier said than done, especially when you care for a person. But as it pertains to betrayal, it's important to understand that in someone betraying you, It's their integrity that's on the line. So in essence, as you allow yourself to grieve, the overcoming it is allowing yourself to grieve. Allow yourself to have your grieving process because that's necessary. Your heart needs to empty. You need to allow your heart to empty, and also to acknowledge the love that is still present. When we feel betrayed, it's because, I'll say sometimes, based off of just what I've experienced and the people that I've worked with, when we feel betrayed, the betrayal, the feeling of betrayal comes because I love you. I care for you. I trust you. And so, in a way, I feel that my love and my trust has been betrayed. So, part of that is, I'll say, it makes the grieving process not more easeful, but more, I'm going to use the word efficient. I mean, I don't know how to say other than efficient. It makes the grieving process more efficient when you continue to acknowledge the love that was present. And as you do that, what you're doing for yourself is not allowing certain shadows to form around you. The shadow of betrayal is a real doozy. The shadow of betrayal is a doozy. And what will happen is, once it enters your experience and you start to fight it and you start to push it away, it gets stronger. And it goes and gets some friends to come and knock at your door as well. Because ultimately, what it's showing you is the way that you dishonor your own boundaries. Ultimately, that's what it's showing. So, through that, what you do is allow the love to be present. Allow the love to be present. Try your best to impersonalize it, to see this is not about me, this is about them. What they did is about them. How you feel is about you. So you continue to concentrate your energy on how you feel, because that is what's yours and that is what you can do something with. You can't do anything with what they did or how they feel. That's theirs. All you can do is do something with yours. So another good question to ask in overcoming betrayal is, what is mine? What in this belongs to me? And as I said in the beginning, prayer works wonders. Prayer works wonders. So it's important for y'all in these situations to start to ask Spirit to show you, because these things, nothing happens for no reason. Nothing is happening for no reason. So as you are experiencing instances where you have felt betrayed, you ask Spirit, what's in this for me? What part of this is mine, and what do I need to work through? And that might help with silencing the whys. If you find yourself still asking why, and this extends beyond betrayal, this is about anything. If you find yourself asking, why did it happen? Why this? Why that? Why was it like this? Why? Any type of whys, that means you have not come to a space of acceptance, because you would have no questions about it. If you're spiraling on the whys, you have not accepted. So then now, that's where you start to pray and ask, bring me to a place of acceptance. This doesn't mean that it's going to happen overnight. But this means that now you will be taken on a journey to release what needs to be released and to work through what needs to be worked through inside of you, so that you can come to a place of acceptance. Whenever you ask Spirit to work on something inside of you, to fix something, to heal something inside of you, 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen is everything that is making you think that you are not at that place is going to be removed. So it's not it's not a matter, it's typically not something that needs to be fixed. Now, sometimes there are things that can happen energetically, and there are things that need to be reconciled and put back together within people. This is something that I've seen that has happened energetically. Something within you needs to be put back together. Can I give you specific situations? No, I cannot, because this is just, it's case by case. But often when you ask for acceptance, when you ask for healing, when you ask to reconcile something in your experience, things are going to start to break apart, because everything that does not serve has to be broken down so that new fertile ground and new fertile soil can be laid, and so new seeds can be planted. But in order for that to happen, things have to fall apart. So what I perceive is that that's the uncomfortable part of the process for a lot of people. It's difficult to deal with the parts that when you ask for something and things start to fall apart. So recognize that's part of the process. You ask for change, you're going to get a tower moment. The storm's going to blow through because you asked for change, but the storm has to blow away everything that's not in alignment. Once the storm is over, you're left with new ground. How do you remain grounded when things fall apart? So, a couple of different things. I mean, one, mentally it's continuing to come back to, I know people say that this is happening for me. And I know that it's not always easy to say that and believe it, especially as things are falling apart. But what I can give you is that what I have noticed within myself, and something that I've noticed with the many people that I've worked with, we go through the same cycles over and over and over. Same cycle, same pattern, different face, different place, different scenario. But the grounding yourself when things start to fall apart is you are going to have to start to become accustomed to what you start to do and how you start to think and feel when things start to fall apart, because you're going to go through those same feelings and same pattern every time things start to fall apart. And again, as I spoke on the inner child earlier, this is your inner child becoming uncomfortable. And so what people will do is revert to their childlike tendencies when things are falling apart. It's not going to be easy the first time around, but I wish somebody would have told me to start to watch myself earlier on and become aware of my patterns, because it took a couple times for me to get it. So I'll give y'all an example. Okay, I guess I won't. So, what I can give is, for some people, when they start to feel internal discomfort. Okay. Let me kick it to y'all this way. Before something changes in your life, before drastic changes happen in your life, your spirit already knows it's going to happen. It already knows, because time is not real. Time is only real to us. So in the spirit realm, as I said, energy precedes matter. So before things start to physically fall apart in your life, the stage is already set energetically for this to happen, right? Because the energy happens first, and then the physical reacts off of the energy that's present. So before your life starts to crumble, even in positive ways, energetically, spirit already knows it's going to happen. Your higher self and you, in a way, know it's going to happen. What happens is you start to grieve. So these are the patterns. I'm going to give y'all cookie cutter patterns, and this is going to look different for everybody, right? You start to grieve. You start to resist. You start to self-sabotage, because the change is coming. The change is coming, and you can feel that something's off. You can feel that something's coming and something is about to happen, because we are just such intuitive beings, and we know. You can feel it. So you start to grieve, you start to resist, you start to self-sabotage. What might those things look like in someone's experience? Some people overeat. Some people undereat. Some people stop taking care of themselves. Some people start watching a lot of TV. Some people start drinking more. Some people start smoking more. Some people start getting angry. Certain feelings start to come up, certain habits and certain behaviors. And now, as I'm saying this, I want you to assess your own situation and notice how if there's a certain habit that you have, you do that habit in cycles. These habits come in cycles. So you start to do those things. Then the change comes and shit's falling apart now. And then you continue to resist because you haven't accepted it yet. The thing is, this makes it more difficult because it's going to happen anyway. It's happening anyway. But you're so accustomed to being in this cycle of self-sabotaging and resisting that you haven't learned how yet to allow the changes to just flow. What you resist persists. So you push at it and now it makes it feel even harder. The change happens because the change was going to happen regardless. And then either you continue to grieve, you finally accept it, or you lock it in your memory as a traumatic event. And now you keep repeating this cycle. Now you just keep going through it. And what you say is that it seems like people say, every time something good's about to happen for me, something happens. Things never go my way. Something always happens. That's how that happens. That's how that happens. So you start to become accustomed to the way you resist. That is the best thing that I can give you. Because when you're resisting and you're grieving and you're self-sabotaging, you need to be loved and nurtured. There's something within you that needs loving and it needs nurturing because it's very uncomfortable and it doesn't know, it's very uncomfortable with the changes that are happening. And it doesn't know what to do when the changes are happening. That is why it seems like stuff is falling apart. For us to even use the term "it's falling apart" with a negative connotation, that in itself needs to be shifted and transmuted into "it's breaking down" so that something new can be built. When stuff starts to fall apart, in my experience, I'll be like, oh shit. Oh, what's coming? What's coming? Because never have things falling apart and not left me with something better. Never. Even if the falling apart phase took years. Even if it took years. And the only reason that my falling apart phases have ever took years is because I kept resisting and I wouldn't let go. Is because the house is falling down and I want to hug the last pillar and be like, no. No. I'm trying to keep the house up. When if I just let it, if you just let it fall, you're out of that process so much more swiftly. So it's important for you to become accustomed with the way that you resist. Because if you can catch the way that you resist, then you can start to ask yourself, what do I need right now? What do I actually need? Instead of pushing against this thing, because you don't need that thing to stay. You don't need that to stay. You need to relax. You need to learn how to relax about change. And you need to learn how to breathe into the natural process of healing. The natural process of healing is that it comes up, it breaks shit down, it wipes it clean, a new seed is planted, and now something new comes. And then it goes even deeper, and it breaks it up again, and it wipes it clean, and it just keeps going. But you have to be broken. It has to fall apart. All misalignment must leave. and must shed and must flow away. But we've got ego attachments to the misalignments. Your ego loves to play inside a misalignment because it's comfortable. Because it's comfortable, and your inner child wants to hold on to comfort because it needs love. Because it needs more love. So, as things are falling apart, as things are beautifully breaking down in your experience, you keep yourself grounded by asking, how can I love myself better right now? How can I love on myself right now? When I'm going through it and I'm tussling and I'm doing that resistance thing, because I still be resisting a little bit, I got to resist for like a good week. It used to be months and years. It used to take me months or even years. Now, I give myself a good 2 weeks. Sometimes I get it down to where I only give myself like an hour, and I'll be like, oh, girl, yes, we doing it. But in the midst of that, sometimes I just need to go sit in the grass. I need a whole lot of baths. I need my lavender and my rose baths. I need to take a bath in some black walnut because that is a cord cutter. If ever I need to get dense energy off of me, I'm bathing in black walnut. That's the cord cutter. That's going to help. That's going to help to break away some of the resistance and break away the density. For those of y'all that got long hair, y'all, if it gets really deep for me, then I'm dunking my whole head in the water. I'm dunking my whole head in that black walnut because we need to cleanse this crown. So I'm making sure I'm getting massages. I'm making sure I'm stretching. I'm making sure I got food that I like to eat. I'm making sure that I care for myself as I'm going through these shifts because I know that this makes my inner child uncomfortable. And so we need to do some things in order to nurture ourselves in healthy ways. Now, like I said, y'all, healthy ways. What some people might do is pick up a bottle and pick up some marijuana. If that's your coping mechanism for right now, I can't tell you what to do. But all I'm going to say is, with that again, you are not nurturing, you're numbing. You're not nurturing, you're numbing. So you aren't assisting yourself with becoming stronger internally to be able to handle the changes and to be able to handle the tower moments. I use the black walnut herb because I don't know who makes the oil. So you can use the powder or you can use the hulls, Hulls. Boil it like a tea, pour it in the tub, bathe in it. Yes, herbs really work like that. You give thanks to the herbs too. You give thanks. Because like I said, just like calling somebody and all you do is ask them for something when you call them. You give thanks to the mother, to divine mother, to Mother Earth. So as you're boiling up those herbs in that tea to pour into your tub, you stand over that pot like you making the witch's brew. What's gonna call that? Y'all know you stir the pot and you give thanks for Mother Earth for allowing you to utilize the herbs. And when you're done with the herbs, especially if you are using loose herbs, when you're done with the herbs, you give them back to the earth. You take it outside, you give it to a tree, give it to some grass, and you say thank you again. You say thank you. Yeah, black walnut is a good, black walnut paired. Okay, look, let me tell y'all. If you need to go to the bathroom, but also if you need a good internal cleanser. So whenever I have deep work to do, And I need to detox the energy that's inside. Black walnut, wormwood, cascara sagrada, cloves, and mugwort. The most disgusting thing that you will ever taste. But when I tell you that if you got something to do that day, it depends on how much cascara sagrada you put in there. Because the cascara sagrada is the laxative. Let me show you what it looks like. Hold on. And this is just an herb. It's absolutely disgusting. But the more bitter the herb, the better it is for you. When I say that a little bit goes a long way, you can grind this down and encapsulate it, but I found that it works best if I drink it in a tea. When I say that if you got something to do that day, you might want to drink this when you ain't got nothing to do. Because when I say the last time I drank this, every 10 minutes, every 10, running to la toilette. But also, I would not recommend drinking it a lot because it cleanses you out. Like, it is like a colon. It's a real life natural colon cleanser and laxative. And because of how powerful it is, it will dehydrate the body. So it is not to be used just all willy-nilly. Also, mugwort is not to be used by pregnant women because it causes uterine contractions. And also, if you wrote those herbs down, check the contraindications. Contraindications, is that a word? Check online for the contraindications because I am not a medical doctor and this is not medical advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Okay. All right. The cloves, black walnut, wormwood, those are anti-parasitic as well. The cloves will kill the, thank you, I had them custom made, gotta have my earrings. The cloves will kill the baby parasites. The wormwood will kill the adult parasites. The black walnut will wrap itself around the parasites and annihilate them. Yes, mugwort is not good for pregnancy. Thank you. I got it from Amazon. Someone said I love the headscarf. Amazon. All right. I think I'm done talking. What do you think about celibacy? I think it's the last question, I think. What do you think about celibacy? Like trying to state that boundary despite it not being due to religion, but just as a choice. Also, despite you not. Let me tell y'all something. Someone answer me why it is that it has been ingrained in people's minds that you have to lead with sex. Why is it? And this is something I had to work. This is something I had to work through. Why is it that I will offer you my body and my essence before you actually get to know me and have shown me that you will honor me, that you are willing to honor me and honor my boundaries, but I will give you my body. So now people are having to ask about setting a boundary of celibacy. Because why is it that I would even want to continue to entertain you if I say I'm not having sex and you have an issue with it? Because of a disconnection from your own body. Because of a disconnection from your own body. That I think that my body is the offering. And so since I said that I'm not having sex, you have an issue with it. And now I feel like about the boundary. That means if it's feeling like that, the love needs to be turned inward. The worth and the value needs to be turned inward. The worth and the value needs to be turned inward. Because there is so much more to life than sex. What happens in the relationship when the bodies change and the sexual drive is no longer there, or it's not the same, or something happens and the sexual organs stop working? What happens? Because why is it that I feel, why is like, I want better for all of us. I want better for all of us to learn what it means to really relate to another person. And truly what it means to relate to ourselves. In reality, the bar is in hell. The bar is, when I say the bar is in hell, I'm talking about your lower 3 chakras. The bar is in your lower 3 chakras. Because as I started to love myself, love my body, get to know myself, get to know and realize how valuable your vessel is, how valuable the yoni is, the sacred portal between life and death. The actual portal, the spiritual portal to the other side, is housed in your uterus. Your uterus, the most sacred thing, one of the most sacred things on this planet, to where if you look at fruit and flowers, you look at them and they are shaped like a vagina. But for there to be generations of people who say, what happens when I don't want to have sex? What happens when I don't want to have sex? And you have generations of people that say, you should want to have sex with me. You should want to because I want to. Something's wrong